Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It is, I think, well established that housing serves as a platform for improving a person's quality of life, from education and health to seniors aging in place. Four walls and a roof is one of the most powerful things that can happen to an individual. A home can enhance what I call human being somebodyness. I've experienced it myself. Every individual, family, and child deserves access to safe, affordable, secure, habitable housing. It is the government's obligation, as I look at government, to ensure that everyone can exercise their human right to live safely and with a degree of dignity, not to ensure that everyone has an equal outcomes, but to ensure that we all begin at the same starting line. In the richest country in the world, that dream is far out of reach for many. It is unconscionable that there are millions of American families for whom safe and decent housing is neither affordable nor available. And while the private sector has played a critical role in funding and preserving affordable rental housing across the country, the free market is not an all-powerful panacea to solving our nation's homeless and rental housing crisis. As such, Federal funding for rental and homeless assistance program must be fully funded in order to both save taxpayers' money and to serve the most vulnerable. I have 4 rural districts, counties in my district in Missouri, and if you put everything together, we have almost 40% of our population in the 5th District of Missouri are renters. In many cases, Federal assistance is necessary to attract private players into this gap in affordable housing. Further, failure of the Federal Government to play a role in affordable housing would end up being more costly to taxpayers. This is because a lack of access to housing would put millions of more Americans at risk of homelessness. From a pure policy perspective, it is egregiously more expensive to allow chronic homelessness to persist than it is to provide stable housing opportunity. In 2013, 7.7 million very low-income unassisted families paid more than half their monthly income in rent. They live in severely substandard housing, or they're experiencing both. Worst case needs affect all types of households, including 2.8 million families with children and 1.5 million elderly households. This is a problem, Mr. Chairman, that affects every state and nearly every community across our country. Renters make up 30% of all households, as I mentioned earlier, in my district. Almost 2/3, 62% of those renters are severely burdened, meaning they spend more than half of their income on housing costs. They can't invest in their children's education or contribute to their retirement accounts or pay down payments on homes. They cannot pay down their debts. And because most of what they bring home every month goes to their landlord or to the electric company, their standard of living is down very low. Even worse, on any given night in our country, there are 500,000 people experiencing homelessness. This is in the richest country on planet Earth. 17.7% of our nation's population live in rural poverty. Rural areas. I know there is this perception that they all live in the cities. In my county, 17.7% of the people in the counties are living in poverty. 14% of rural residents are living in poverty. Many American families have not been so fortunate as to see their American dream come to fruition. This amendment is aimed at making that correction. I ask for all members of the committee to support this amendment.